Okay, today we're going to look at installing a new set of adjustable sights on a 1911 style of pistol. The sights that we're going to install are from LPA in Italy. LPA make a big range of aftermarket sights that fit most pistols on the market, and they generally are very high quality and pretty easy to fit. This particular sight is designed to go on a Colt 1911 Novak style cut. Today we're going to put it onto a Turkish TISAS 1911 9mm pistol. These are a great pistol, very well made, copy of the Colt, but they have fixed sights. And if we're going to use this for target shooting, or we want to get the best accuracy out of it, then a set of adjustable sights is a great advantage. Now these particular sights that we're going to fit are fiber optic, so we've got improved visibility in low light as well. Another thing I like about these sights is they don't have a lot of sharp edges on them, right? So you can fit these on. A lot of target sights have a large blade, it's got sharp corners. These are nice and rounded, they don't catch on things. They're a very practical sort of a sight, and they look good in my opinion. All right, well, the first thing we have to do is to remove the original sights off the slide. Okay, so we start out by making sure, of course, that the pistol is clear, like so, and we can remove the slide. Okay, so we'll just push it back here, about the pin. Okay, so there we are. Now, the TISAS pistols have a very nice stainless steel barrel. We'll just get that out of the way so that it makes it a bit easier to work on everything. It's not essential for fitting of the sights, but just take out the bushing. Okay, it's got because it's a 9mm, it's got a ramped barrel, and these are actually a very good hammer forged barrel they have on hammer forged stainless steel barrel that TISAS use. Okay, so here's our slide with the sights on it. First thing we've just used, this whole job can be done with hand tools. We don't need any fancy machine shop to do this. So the first thing is to remove the original sights. A plastic rod is a great advantage to tap the sights off. Let's see if we can push it off there now. It's a bit tight, but it's coming off fine. Okay, that's the rear sight. Now on this particular pistol, the front sight has a pin that's retaining it, so we'll have to tap that pin to remove the front sight. Okay, you can see the pin there. We can slide out that front sight. Okay, we've got these dovetails. Now, I use a three-cornered soft stone just to clean up the surface. I'm not actually taking any metal, but there could be a tiny burrs or rough edges there. We just want to clean that up. Now, when we're fitting the sights, it's always best to, if you're going to have to take metal off something, to take it off the sight rather than the actual pistol slide. That way the original sights would go back on without any problems. Okay, so It's often the case on the TISAS. Now, on some 1911s, these LPA sights will just slide straight on. Actually, on most of them, they will. But on this particular Turkish pistol, the dovetail is very slightly different to the standard Novak cut. And so we have to it's very tight. If we try to push it in here, we can see that it's really a tight squeeze. So what we have to do is to just use this is a little diamond stone. So we take a bit off the bottom of the sight. This lowers it in the dovetail and makes it a little bit easier to fit in there. So we work on here. Now this can take a little while to get this perfect, to hand fit things. It's something that takes a little bit of patience if you want to do a good job. So we just make sure that we get any bits of filings off there. But this is actually a diamond coated stone, so it actually is pretty aggressive and it takes the metal away quickly. I've got a couple of other little stones here that remove any sharp edges. And we keep taking metal off the bottom there until it'll just fit into the dovetail. Now it's tight. If you look at this, you can see that it goes in from one side is different to the other. So this side, it's got a very slight bit cut away on this corner so that it's easier to push it in. So if you push it in from left to right, is much easier than trying to go from right to left. And that's very important when you're trying to fit the sights, because this corner is chamfered to make the fitting a bit easier. Okay, so I think that's going to fit there now. It looks like it's almost going on, but it's very tight. Now these sights also lock up. They've got two little screws in here, and we've got an Allen key that will go down through, and we can tighten those up in the dovetail once it's in position. Okay, so just to make it a nice job anywhere where I've given it a bit of polishing, taking a bit of metal off, I just use a bit of Birchwood KC blue just on the metal to just make it look good, so that it all retains its black color. So we have a nice job. Okay. A little bit of grease can help to fit it. So I put a little bit of, I like this Super Lube, which is a nice clear grease. I put a little bit in the dovetail, a little bit on the base of the sight, like so, to make it slide in a bit easier. Okay, it's going in, but it's quite tight, which is what we want. There's nothing, we don't want a sight that's flopping around. We want it to be good and firm. So we can use our plastic rod, give it a tap. It's coming in now, a little bit further. We can see we tap it until we've got the same space on each side of the sight, which means we're central on top of the slide, which can be a little bit of tapping it back and forth. I've actually gone slightly too far, so we just tap it back a little bit. It's getting pretty good now. If you can see that spacing on each side is very close to being perfect. So if we just push this down, slip our Allen key down, and we can tighten it up and lock it in position. Okay, the rear sight's done. Now, on this pistol, the front sight, as you remember, is held in with a pin, but it's easier to fit the front sight and use Loctite to hold it. It's going to be a snug fit in the dovetail, but once we get it in there, we can retain it with a bit of Loctite, and that will be easier. Okay, I prefer this Loctite. It's like a paste. It actually acts like almost like a grease when you're putting it in, and once it's in position, it's going to hold it there. Okay, so there again with the front sight, it's important to make sure that the dovetails fit, and if necessary, to use a stone or fine file or sandpaper or something like that to get the dovetails to fit pretty close. You want them to be a nice snug fit, not loose, but they don't want to be too tight. So we've got to be able to get them into position. Okay, so we put a little bit of, use a pocket knife, a little bit of Loctite, just a tiny bit, put on the bottom of the sight, a little bit in the slide. We'll wipe off the excess once it's pushed into position. Okay, it's starting to go in there now, so it's getting quite snug. So we get our plastic rod again, we start tapping it. It's going in. Just wipe off any excess Loctite. You can see it's getting near the center. Just give it a slight tap on the side of the sight. We have to be careful not to damage it. It's only a small hammer. Oops, now I've gone too far. Got to go back again, which is all right. It happens. Put a tiny drop more Loctite underneath it. There again, we've got to be careful to get it very central. So we want to be able to shoot straight. Okay, and there we go. That's starting to look good now. So if you look down those sights, you can see that they're bright. The fibre optic is bright. We've got the adjustments. We've got a little tool here that will give us our elevation. Here it is. So we can adjust our elevation with this one. Crank it down a bit because I had it right up. And our windage here on the side. So we've got these adjustments which make this, and yet they're Look at that. It's got no sharp edges. It's not bulky. It's a nice, typical Italian, is very stylish looking sight and very functional. Okay, here we've got the pistol reassembled, and you can see the whole thing with the nice LPA sights on it. It looks nice. They're bright, very functional set of sights. It really enhances the original pistol. So you've got a pistol that looks good, functions well, and does everything you need.